we are PitchNinjas founders. I'm Joanna.
And I'm Lucero.
So today we are here to talk about a thorny subject, which is
how to have a courageous conversation and what makes them so difficult.
So I have to admit to something here before we get into that. I do find these things really challenging. I find it hard to actually be brave enough to have those really hard conversations. And I don't know if many of you feel the same way. But going back to your question, what makes them tricky is that I think when the stakes are high, so there's a lot riding on it, people tend to have more emotion around that. And then when you start to see a difference of opinion emerging or a different approach emerges, and I think that is the foundations that a storm can brew and then things can kick off, can't they? If things aren't mitigated.
So what are some of the ways to mitigate or just to approach the conversation with a different mindset than you would normally around this fear, this I don't want to have it because I don't want to rub the person the wrong way. I want to be nice. I want to keep things at the surface level because going deeper is going to trigger too much emotion and maybe people,
that's so interesting.
They stand away, like they don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah, and maybe that's it. Maybe trying to be nice is a really is it actually a bad thing in terms of difficult conversations, because as a result we kick things to touch and then things escalate further down the line. So I think going back to what we can do to mitigate, I think that we have to get really, really clear on the outcome that we want to achieve beforehand. I think if you are going to prepare for a difficult conversation, very often people just dive into it without having really thought what they want to get out of it, because they've just merged emotion and facts in one, and then it can be a bit of a disaster at that point. And I think the other sort of really important mindset shift, which I think was the question, is around actually changing your mindset of frustration and anger to one of curiosity.
So it's this notion of seeking to understand and coming with good intentions when you're approaching the conversation. And it's not about changing the other person's mind or changing them entirely so that they adapt to your point of view. It's, where are they coming from and where am I coming from, so that it doesn't come down to a personal level. Remembering who you're talking to, so what's going on for them as you're approaching this conversation. And another thing around, if it is with a certain individual, have the conversation with the individual as opposed to perhaps in a forum or in a small group.
Take it
offline and approach the person if it is indeed with that person. Now there are going to be circumstances where it's a group setting or whatnot. Depends on the context, of course.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things, and that's what we help people with at PitchNinjas, is to know how you come across. Because very often it is us who are difficult for others, right? And we can not necessarily know that. So we're great believers at PitchNinjas that you need to know how you come across. It's important, right?
Very important. When was the last time you had a courageous conversation?
Well, Lucero, I think it was yesterday with you. It actually was a potentially quite difficult conversation, and you were brilliant because you called it out early, so we nipped it in the bud.
Yeah. And for me, what was going on is I'm sensing this. She's asking questions, I'm giving her answers, they're not satisfying her like they normally would. We would move on. And it's like, if I would have let this go, fine. But what would have happened is I would have noodled over it after the call. And I would have been like, something's going on with her. Ooh, am I delivering what I need to? She's having doubts. I'm seeing her tomorrow. Maybe I'll ask her. And so look at all that energy spent where I was like, okay, nip it in the bud. Hey, Joanna, let's pause. What's going on for you? I feel like you're frustrated. Did something happen before the call? Am I not answering? Are you feeling this? Are you feeling that? And then that just created the space, safe space, to be able to go, okay, this, that, and the other. And so then we move on, we talk about what we needed to talk, and after that hour, I think we were both good. So these assumptions were like miraculously gone.
No, it was brilliant. And I think so often people don't call things out in the moment and don't nip it in the bud. So well done. Well, that's it.
Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you soon.
We'll have more things to share about courageous conversations in another video.